So what is the method by which that we're supposed to try to come to some kind of a conclusion about where the Book of Mormon took place? I mean, it's kind of an embarrassment, really, for we as members of the church that we don't even agree on what hemisphere it's in, for heaven's sake. The method that has been proposed actually was proposed by Dr. John Sorensen from BYU. He said we should take the 550 passages that are in the Book of Mormon that deal with geography-related issues, things like narrow necks of land, the narrow passages, and so forth, and try to create a hypothetical, or what I like to call an imaginary map, and try to fit it someplace in a real-world setting, and then see if everything matches. The problem with this method is that it has allowed over 150 different geographies to be proposed, and they range in size from all of the entire Western Hemisphere down to an area that's 90 miles by 70 miles just west of the Hill Cumorah in New York. I've done enough scientific research to know that if you have a proper scientific method, it should tend to limit the possibilities, not expand them. And the Sorensen method has led to an ongoing expansion of speculations about where the Book of Mormon took place. Is there a better method? And if there is, what would it be? Can we improve on the Sorensen method, or do we need to replace it with something else? And what is the problem with the method in the first place? Well, the problem with the method is that it starts with speculations about narrow necks of land and narrow passages. But the Book of Mormon wasn't written for geography. What was the Book of Mormon written for? It was written to testify of Jesus Christ, but also if you look up in the Doctrine and Covenants in section 3, verses about 16 through about 20, it talks about specifically that the reason why the plates were preserved is so that the prophecies that are embedded in the history could be made known in the latter days, and that the remnant of the Lamanites who would continue on the same promised land would be able to come to a knowledge of their ancestry and then a knowledge of the gospel and come back into the gospel, the true gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what the plates were written for. So that's really where we kind of came completely different. We actually said our method should begin like this. First off, we need to take a look at the Book of Mormon and look at the spiritual passages, these prophecies and these promises that were made by the ancient prophets about our day as a warning to us. And then we should take a look at what Joseph Smith said, because he's the only prophet in this dispensation that has claimed to have received revelation on this matter, and did so in a number of different historical accounts, like the Wentworth letter, the American Revivalist account, the Zelph accounts, and his letter to Emma while they're on Zion's camp and so forth. All these things talk about Joseph Smith and what he knew. And he's the only one that had face-to-face visits with these ancient prophets. So we need to take his word really over anybody else unless they've had a similar kind of experience. And then number 3 is that we need to be able to show forth evidences of the Book of Mormon from archaeology, from genetics, from anthropology, from linguistics. All of these different varying fields can play a part in our coming to a knowledge of where the Book of Mormon lands took place. None of them by themselves could establish it, but together you start to become, I'd like to liken it to a puzzle. You know, everybody's done puzzles before. What are the first pieces you look for in a puzzle when you start it? Well, you start with the edges. The interesting thing about it is by putting the edges in a puzzle, it creates a space that you know you don't have to anymore worry about anything outside of the puzzle. You know that every piece from then on is going to fit within that framework. So the 4th thing that we need to talk about just briefly is that we can't just ignore the geographic passages in the Book of Mormon. John Sorensen is correct in that if, for example, if it says the land of Manti is south of the land of Zarahemla in the Book of Mormon, and it makes it clearly stated, then in our proposed geography, the land of Manti better be south of the land of Zarahemla. So we can't ignore those things, but we do know this. Those things in the Book of Mormon are incomplete. If they were complete, we wouldn't have all these 150 different geographies that have been proposed for the Book of Mormon. People ask me all the time, why are you so passionate about this? And my answer is, you know, it's not because it's going to make a difference in somebody's, you know, eternal salvation, whether or not they know the Book of Mormon happened in Central or South America or North America. The reason why I feel it's so critical is because the ancient prophets put so much effort in trying to warn a specific nation not to let the secret combinations, they call them, that destroyed their nations, to destroy the nations that were going to be here in the latter days. And so when you understand that they were trying to warn that particular nation of what efficacy are those prophecies, if we don't even understand what nation it was they were trying to warn. Now some people say, well, what do you mean a nation? It could be like the nation of Israel. But it can't be that, because it says in the Book of Mormon that the nation that was going to be established on these lands in the latter days would never be ruled by a king. So we know it is a political entity of some sort that's not going to have a king. So that then actually gives us a limiting factor. What nation is it? What nation best fulfills the 36 prophecies that are given within the text of the Book of Mormon? And that nation is the United States of America.